Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Clue Crew podcast. We are here today to talk about Danger on Deception Island, which was last week's game in the hashtag Clue Crew playthrough. So, my name is Kaitie. I'm here with Maddie.
Hello!
And Alyssa.
Hey.
And this week we also have a special guest. Her username is Greenhouse Ghost. If you want to say hi to Anna.
Yes, hello.
All right, awesome. So I know you don't have like a Nancy Drew side blog or anything.
No, I don't.
No, okay, but I recognized your username, so I've seen you liking stuff, and you've been popping up a little bit here and there. So
Nice.
Yeah, so it's great to have you. Good to meet you as well. So hopefully you have a fun time with us today.
Yes, welcome.
I've been following along and listening to the podcast and really enjoying it, so I'm very excited to be able to be a guest.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear
That's
that.
exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. All right. So, Danger on Deception Island, truly a classic.
Oof, excellent.
The nostalgia factor is there. It's a solid game. I absolutely love it. This one is for sure top 5 for me. But how do you guys feel?
I mean, I would also agree. I think that this is always a top 5, at least for me. I think I forget how much, I love it, and then I play it again, I'm like, oh, and I feel like this is one that I'm literally always in the mood to play, 100% of the time.
I feel like, I don't know, I just haven't played this game as much over the years, and I think because of that, the nostalgic doesn't hit me as hard as it does in most of the other earlier games, so it's not one of my favorites, which I know is a little bit controversial. But I still love a lot of, the atmosphere of it and the characters, and it's, I love the setup of it all. I think part of it is it's not my favorite type of puzzles that are involved in it, because it's a lot of, finding things or doing things in, a specific order, so that's not necessarily my favorite. But I do agree, I love, all of the nostalgic elements and all, the whole story with Hilda as well.
See, that's interesting, because this game, for me, was kind of right in the sweet spot of the kind of puzzles that I do like the most. Because once they started getting into the later games, they started implementing what I would call more hardcore single-screen puzzles. And those just aren't really my style quite as much. I like more of the puzzles that involve the environment and having to look around and explore in order to come to your answers. So I think that's why I do like the puzzles in this game and a lot of the games in the same era. But of course, that's just me personally, and Maddie, you are totally valid.
I think part of it is I'm really bad at finding things on the screen at times. I will forget where I saw something, and so then I will spend way longer than I think most people will trying to remember, where I could pick up the menu to see how much clam chowder costs. And so I inevitably get frustrated with it. But I do agree that I think it's a lot nicer in how it's set up because it makes you feel more immersed in the mystery. So I do appreciate it. I just am really bad at it. And I think that's why it loses me a little bit.
That's totally fair. I think immersion is the right word. I feel like this game is super immersive.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game does a really good job of making you feel like you're really in it. And then I think that I don't know, I think that the puzzles are very well integrated where it doesn't feel this doesn't really make sense in a real world context.
Right. The only thing that confused me a little is how everybody somehow magically knows our email address.
True.
Casey Porterfield out of nowhere is just hey, I emailed you a thing, and then Hilda Swinson's I sent you a thing to your email. I didn't give my email to anybody. How do you know?
She just has it plastered all over online.
See, that was a little odd, but either way. Anna, what do you think of this game? I think you mentioned it was one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, definitely one of my top 5 games as well. And I love the exploration part of it because I love any game where it gives me a lot of places to go and look at things.
Yeah, definitely. I love the different locations in this game. Especially the hot kettle. I want to go to the hot kettle cafe. It's just so cozy and amazing. and I want
And
to go there.
Yeah, somehow they get the small cafe vibe even without, like, with only 2 characters in the cafe.
Right.
And, like, all the voices in the background, and it makes sense that they're, like, it's like a private party that's closed off, but it just feels like it's a bustling business,
Yeah.
even though it's pretty empty character-wise.
Yeah, I think that was really smart on her interactive's part because it, you know, by having there be a closed off room with a private party, you know, they were able to capture that. They were able to use the sound effects to make you feel like it's a busy cafe without having to like explode their budget and animate like 200 people. So definitely very cool.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think it's kind of funny because, like, you know, it wouldn't appear that would be effective, but I think the sound effects in this game in general are really effective, where it feels like you're there. Like, the same could be said about the beach. You're not seeing the like waves move, but it's still, just because it's so like spot on, it's effective.
Right, I agree.
The very beginning of the game, when Nancy walks up to Kaitie, I want to know, like, how did Kaitie get those groceries back to her boat? Because the bike does not have a basket. And it looks like there might be a garage door behind where the bike is parked, but the path leading away from the boat looks so narrow that unless she has a motorcycle, like, I don't know how she's getting anything like that up there. So imagining her carrying that basket, like, full bag of groceries on her lap on a bike is the image that I was having in the beginning of this game.
That's excellent.
That is an excellent point.
Yeah, this is something I'd never thought about, but you're totally right. And with that beginning cutscene as well, I want to know, like, what was Kaitie doing? Just like literally staring at the wall, holding her groceries, like she wasn't even walking around the corner. She was just facing the wall. Like, what are you doing?
She was contemplating how bad of an idea it was to bike with the groceries on her lap.
That was rough. She loses like half of it on the way.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
But you know what? Speaking of Kaitie's groceries, I don't feel like any DDI podcast would be complete without mentioning the ingredients in her fridge.
Yeah.
And talking about the fact that she keeps mayonnaise from 1994. And
what? And this game came out in 2003, so that's a serious, like,
quite an offense.
Like, at that point, that means she's like just carrying it around. Like, every time she's moved from place to place, she's just keeping that jar of mayonnaise.
You're right.
Sentimental value.
Yeah. For like her like blankie almost, her jar of mayonnaise.
A jar of mayonnaise. I can't. And I want to know what's in the hot sauce that makes it inedible.
Oh, yeah.
Because honestly, like, this last playthrough, I had forgotten that you couldn't use the hot sauce. Like, I thought it was just hot sauce, so I put it on her sandwich, and then she throws up because of it, and I'm like, what's in it? Like, isn't it
I just figured it was a disgusting
sauce?
Flavor combination.
Yeah.
So she dies?
So spicy.
She just has a bad reaction to it.
I guess.
I was experimenting this time, like, how disgusting of a sandwich you can make with the ingredients that you can eat, though. Because there's some pretty gross combinations you can come up with.
What was your
Lunch
grossest
meat and
one?
peanut butter and chocolate sauce.
I just threw everything inedible on it when Kaitie asked me. I was like, oh yes, this moment has come. Time for a jellyfish mayo hot sauce sandwich.
Right. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was younger, I used to love to make ice cream sandwiches. Like, I would just do like 2 scoops of the cocoa ice cream and like 1 click of the chocolate sauce.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I used to do that too.
I don't know why. Okay, but also...
Real life, though, it'd be pretty gross.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I said I feel like in real life though that'd be pretty gross. Just bread.
Oh,
with
yeah.
ice cream is
Yeah.
not something
I
that
know.
want.
Like, as a kid, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just like, ice cream, chocolate. But yeah, I don't feel like that would be the most appealing sandwich in the world. But can we talk about, like, I did not realize until this playthrough what a bitch Katie Firestone is. I was like, what the heck? Like, after she kicks you out, like, did y'all try to talk to her after you have that conversation with her?
Yeah, she never talks to you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you try, she's just like, I'm kind of busy right now, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
for
And I'm
real.
just like, what, girl? I was not having it. Katie Firestone is not it. I don't know. Like, before this, I just thought she was kind of a boring character. Like, I didn't really care one way or another, but I don't know. She kind of rubbed me the wrong way on this playthrough.
It must have been pretty awkward too, because the way the beds are set up, that was what I was noticing. Like they're head to head.
Yeah.
Like a kid's sleepover. Like that's gotta be so awkward. First of all, with someone that Nancy doesn't really know that well, and then once she really starts to hate you, like it's not.
Yeah. That's also true. I also remembered when I was younger, like, thinking Jenna was, like, so super cool. And she's still pretty cool, but she's also kind of like, I don't know, I can't think of the word.
Well, I'll tell you what she is. She's running a terrible business practice. That's like, that's my big concern. Like when the game ends and it's like Jenna's serving more clam chowder than ever. I was like, God, I hope not, because otherwise you're going under real fast. Like,
Yes.
no one is paying for that.
I know. I had that thought this time around. I was like, you know, like, I could believe it if Nancy was like a relative or a close family friend or like some important visitor to Jenna in some way, but like, why does she just give you everything for free?
Yes, like I can
Makes
get the
no
first
sense.
bowl to like get you hooked on the clam chowder, like
Right.
establish the clam chowder fix that you need in your life.
Right.
But every time she's like, "Yeah, got next one on the house."
I think
like,
it's
okay.
also funny because like she like hates Katie's. Like it's not even like, oh,
Yeah.
Katie's a friend of mine. Here you go. Like
For
no,
real.
she's got no reason to do that.
Yeah.
Although I did laugh really hard at Kaitie at your post, where you can ask right after you confront her with the evidence of like,
Yeah, this
I'm
was
gonna blackmail you into giving me clam chowder.
I know, this was the first time that I noticed that.
I did find myself noticing this game. Like I really would have liked if Nancy would have been able to have money in this game,
Yeah.
because I want to buy all of the things in Will World.
Me too.
Yes, same.
If this had been a more modern game, you know we would have. Like, you know.
Oh,
And plus, yeah, if there was a money system, then we could have actually paid for our food in the hot kettle, which would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wish you could win the other prizes on the prize wheel, other than it automatically giving you the whale watching trip. Because I want a toy shark, and that's that's all I want.
I so agree. I remember being so pissed that I couldn't do like the spin it again because I was like, come on, man, I want more options.
I know.
Mhm.
I also remember when I was a kid playing this game, I was getting so excited, you know. Every time I played, I was like, man, I wonder what I'm going to get. But then eventually, of course, I realized that they only ever give you the tour. But yeah, it was so disappointing to find out that you couldn't actually get anything else. I feel like Her Interactive, obviously I know why they script it that way. Or yeah, I know why they script it that way, because you have to take the tour to get the keychain. But I still feel like they should have at least made it an option to where you can ask Andy for another punch card, kind of like you do with Harlan in Haunted Carousel with the Fun Pass.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that you go again.
Or if it was randomized, if then you had to like go beg Andy for like a trade in your prize, like you get the T-shirt, but like have to ask for a whale tour or something, just so that there's the option to end up with something else.
Well, Nancy, I'll switch your prize if you do something for me. Also, how about Andy, like, when you try to touch the skeleton model or whatever, he's like, don't touch that. And then at the end of the game, he's like, please touch that. Please set it
Right.
up for me.
He's a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like that's the angle I was going for, but yeah, thank you, Allison. That works.
I just felt offended. I was like, listen, you could have had this done and ready for free, like, if you had let me mess with it earlier.
Yeah. So true. Another thing about the clam chowder at Hot Kettle, though, is how it always gave me anxiety because if you go straight for the clam chowder, you can never get a muffin again.
Yes, I messed
Yeah.
that up this time.
Yeah, it's like you have to order the muffin first, or else you'll
Mhm.
never get to have the muffin ever. And I just think it's sad. Like, I wonder why. I wonder if it was like an oversight in the programming.
Yeah, it's so weird. But now, like, I have to be super careful every time I play. I'm like, I have to get the muffin first.
It's funny because I almost always picked the muffin over the clam chowder.
Me
And
too.
so I didn't even realize that it would not let you have it if you picked clam chowder first.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, keep doing what you're doing. I also think it's funny that there's that postcard from Jenna's Aunt Kim or whatever who just keeps talking about the clam chowder.
Mm-hmm.
And her affection for Jenna is just like an afterthought. She's like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to come back to the cafe and get some of that amazing clam chowder of yours. Can you give me the recipe? I love your clam chowder so much. Oh, and miss you too. Like, she's after one thing and one thing only. And it is disgusting. Well, I'm assuming the chowder is not disgusting, but
I feel like I can taste the chowder. Like, it just is so, like, cemented in my mind as, like, a real thing.
I've never had clam chowder before.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
We have,
You
like,
have to have-
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just say you have to have it in a place that has like fresh seafood.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I don't think I've ever had anything with clams
Oh, really?
or
I love
oysters.
clams. Oof, I love oysters.
I've never had either.
I'm not a seafood person, but I make an exception for clam chowder. Mostly because when I was little, I didn't know that it had seafood in it.
No.
I was horrified when I found out that it wasn't chicken, like I thought.
Chicken chowder.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't think there's any other like location in the Nancy Drew series that just makes me want to go there and cozy up in a little booth while it's raining outside or just foggy and like maybe sit in that little window seat and just like look out into the ocean with like a mug of like a latte or something. Oh,
Yeah,
It'd
I
be
think
so
that's
nice.
part of the reason that like I come back to this game a lot and replay it. It's just fun to be in.
such a good
Yeah.
atmosphere. I feel like it's one of we say this every single week, but I feel like it's one of the strongest like atmospherically.
Yeah.
True.
It just evokes something so good.
It really does, and I think part of it is because it feels very grounded.
Yes.
Like I went and I've been to I've been to Washington, but I recently made a trip to Oregon, and the entire time I was in Oregon, I was like had mad Danger on Deception Island vibes. I was like, oh my god, I gotta play this game now, because
Aw.
it really does like hit like I don't know, man. It hits you in the core.
I love that. Well, to be fair though, the Her Interactive Studio is in Washington, so it might have been
True.
from experience.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, something about it. Just like you said, the sound of the waves, even if the water doesn't move, like it's so amazing how they were able to still get that across with just the sound. And plus the music and it's just so good. Like,
Yeah, I love the
really feel
music.
it.
Like, just I don't know, it sets the scene so well. I feel like, especially with the waves too. Like the combo is just I don't know, something about it is just great.
For sure. Something random that I thought could have been interesting is if once Holt catches you trespassing, well, I guess he catches you trespassing before you look in his bag. But if you got the code to the lighthouse first, and then he caught you trespassing, and then he changed the combination for the lighthouse, and you had to go find the second combination. I thought that could have been a cool addition. But that's just a random thing. Anyway. Another really cool sound thing that they did in this game is how they incorporated the bing on the side of the lighthouse. So like when you come up the tunnel, you instantly recognize that noise because you've been there before. So
that was really smart.
I know! God, I love it. So it's like even if you didn't physically see that it was the lighthouse, like you still knew where you were. Super cool. And you know, Allison, you mentioned that this game feels very grounded. And I think that's why it is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I can see that.
I am always a sucker for realism and just things that feel honest and authentic. And I feel like that's why I love this game so much, because nothing really makes me feel like it's an extension of disbelief or anything like that. Is that the right phrase? Did I say that wrong?
No, you got that right.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, cool.
They give you that sort of connection of like the starting point of the tunnels and the end point, so you can kind of visualize in your mind like where on the map the tunnels are underneath when you're biking.
That's true.
Which is also really cool because like when Nancy's walking, like it's a long trek for her to get there, so it's kind of showing you like it's taking a while.
I love that cutscene. Her head. What is she doing? She's just like, oh my god, it's the shakiest thing I've ever seen in my life. There's like, is she really walking like that?
She's jamming out while she's walking.
My friend
like
and
a
I,
shaky cam.
yeah, like my friend and I make fun of it all the time. We'll be like, hey look, I'm Nancy, and we just walk like with our heads like flailing in every direction. Oh my god, like it cracks me up. Like I understand wanting a little bit of that, you know, lilt to show that you're walking, but that's definitely something that they mastered in the later games. I think they went a little overboard in this one. But yeah, one of my favorite things about this game is how well they actually incorporated everything into the central plot. Like, you find the dead fish on the beach, for example, and you're like, oh, well, these fish shouldn't be here. Well, they tie into the plot.
That's a good point. Like even like the Shanghai tunnels, like a good way of integrating like the history with the plot too. Yeah, I agree.
Remember if I ever picked up on the fish, like how the fish connected, but this time it really hit me and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't remember if I ever knew this, but that's so cool.
I know, it really is. And then the driftwood being so central to the whole thing too.
Yeah.
It's like you keep picking up these bits and pieces of clues, but right there at the end they all come together and it's so good. Oh, I love it. I love me a well-written mystery. And I feel like this one is one of the most well executed. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the most like this playthrough has really kind of made me realize how a lot of them kind of have some plot holes. You know, you're like, how does that make sense? You know, whereas this one, I feel like everything is just it. I mean, there's some ridiculous parts, but everything just kind of clicks into place. You know,
Exactly.
It gives me like Blackmore Manor vibes, where you get little tidbits of things that are you have to put together that aren't really explained to you, but the more you find out, the more you realize like how everything fits together, and it's a lot of like self-detective work that's outside of like the actual suspect conversation, so you get kind of this cool balance of both of those.
True.
Yeah, that makes sense. Blackmore Manor is my other, like, my top favorite game.
Yes. Blackmore Manor, we stand.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my other favorite is Last Train in Blue Moon Canyon, but we're not there yet.
Yes.
I played that one recently too.
Yeah, I just feel like this is the sweet spot of the Nancy Drew games. Oh, God, I love it.
I finished it too fast though.
Oh, that's how I started feeling about Treasure in the Royal Tower. Because I love the vibe of that game, but I don't really like playing it quite as much just because I finish it so quickly. And I don't know. We'll talk about it another week. I have been dying to play Royal Tower ever since I finished Deception Island, though. I don't know why, but I'm like dying. But oh well.
It's me right now with the stay inside vibes. I just want to be back in Royal Tower. Like, whenever I'm at home for a while, that's like the place I want to go hang out.
Aww.
Funny with going too quickly in this game. I didn't know that you could do this, but I completely forgot to do the anagram puzzle because I already knew what I needed to send out. And the game didn't stop me from doing it and wasn't like, you need to figure out what this is. I just went ahead and did it. Like,
okay.
So I actually didn't know that the game would let you skip that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think I did that too, and I also messed up with the wood the wood phone call the first time around, and then I couldn't get her to call me back. Like, every time I called her, like, I would get the answering machine, and I think it's because I skipped over one of those puzzles where I just knew what I was supposed to do, and so I didn't go look at everything I needed to look at. But so it's interesting. So I wonder what level it lets you bypass things versus what still is kind of like glitchy, and there's things that are reliant on it.
Interesting. Something similar happened to me on the last playthrough that I did of this game. But it ended up being, I think, because I wasn't calling her from the microscope setup. Like, she will not answer her phone unless you're, like, at the microscope.
Yeah, that could also have been it, too.
It's really weird. It's something I didn't realize until my last playthrough, because, I looked it up and somebody was having the same issue. So, yeah, really weird. But also, I do not consider that brown reddish. I just want to throw that out there. That is brown.
Yes.
I've played this game too many times. I've memorized all the answers.
That's how I am with most things in these games, to be honest. And
Yeah,
I wish
same.
it wasn't true, but it is. Like, I wish I could just experience them all again for the first time.
I also thought this game. I think this is one of the only games that has like victory music after you finish a puzzle. I kind of love that.
I love the victory music.
Me too.
Especially the victory music in this game.
It's so cheerful.
It really is.
You really feel like you did good.
It's funny, on the music, when I went into Oregon not too long ago, when we were in the airport, they had a live band playing like a jig, like an Irish jig song, and immediately I was like, did I do something right? Yay!
That's amazing. Oh, and I also love, even down to the smallest details, like the fact that Andy's henchmen stole Kaitie's gloves.
Yeah.
Their work, like, even that is so good because it throws some shade at her and makes her look suspicious.
It's a really good twist. Like, I don't think a lot of the times For Interactive pulls off good, like, twists and turns because you're kind of skeptical, but you're far enough along into the game that you kind of believe that she's the culprit at that point.
Yeah.
And so it really is a dramatic reveal, I think, especially how they have her, like, sitting in the boss chair and where you can just see the top of her head, and then, like, the flip around and you realize that she's actually a captive. It's really well done.
That's actually what I was about to say. I completely agree. It's one of the few times where they really succeeded at the bait and switch.
I remember being floored when I first played this game. I was like, what?
Yes. So freaking good. But I still don't understand how it's a better idea to toss the tank to the orca at the end.
Yes! Oh my gosh.
Like, what if the orca had, like, aimed and hit Nancy instead?
Or just slightly missed. Like, there were multiple places that they could have thrown that gas can. Like, you could have just whacked him upside the head, Nancy. Come on, you've knocked a chandelier on a guy before.
Right.
I love how they involved the orca in the end, though. Like, it's a little out there, but I love it anyway.
Yeah, I love getting to see her again.
Mm-hmm.
A good girl. And I honestly, again, I think this goes back to the mystery in this game just being so well fleshed out. But Andy Jason, for sure, had one of the best, most solid criminal plans out of the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
Just the level of his operation was really impressive. I will say I'm still thrown by he managed to buy a Russian orca spy. Like, that part still kind of gets me, and we just gloss over it at the end.
And I was about to actually say that that's the only thing that I was skeptical of, but yeah.
Like, I feel like you all could have just been scuba diving down below as a group. But, you know, you do you. Kudos for him on that one.
I mean, I think it makes sense as to why he would want to get the whale. Because, again, this is a theme that's incorporated throughout the game because they keep talking about how intelligent they are and how they're used to find things and etc. for the military, right? So I understand why he would want to get the orca, but yeah, what they don't talk about is how he acquired the orca.
Yeah.
And that's a little
Is
weird.
that a real thing? Like, do we have military orcas?
Couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I'm wondering this playthrough, like, is the orca bringing, like, was it just helping them find the shipwreck, or was it actually bringing stuff up from the shipwreck, like, in its mouth? I don't know.
Well, if nothing else, she was definitely finding the shipwrecks. But I think the guys went down too because there was scuba gear in the little hideout.
Oh, yeah.
So we know that they at least dived a little bit. But yeah, if that's the case, then why not just search yourself? I don't know.
Well, so that was the other thing that confused me because I was looking at the harness and it looked like it covered, like, the blowhole. So I was like, are the air tanks for the orca? Are we giving it, like, oxygen so it can dive deeper?
To bring up that this game has one of the best, like, phone contact setups.
Yes.
You
Yes.
get both Bess and George and Frank and Joe.
Yes,
And
for
Helen is
sure.
one of, like, yeah.
Yeah, and even like the phone characters that are specifically for this game are great. Like, I love Casey Porterfield. I love Dr. Pretty, or not Pretty it's the same voice though. God, what is her name?
Wait.
The wood scientist lady.
Yeah, Pritivichu.
Oh, Pretty. Okay, I get her and the person in Blackboard Manor confused.
Not us, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I made that connection as well. I was
Yeah.
thinking, it's not the same voice actors, but they sound like they're very similar.
Ooh, they are very similar. Okay, well, either way, they are great film characters.
For sure.
Lots of personality, super fun.
I agree. I think that probably I would say Scarlet Han up through Shadow Ranch like really excelled at the phone characters.
Agreed.
And also using phone characters in a way that wasn't just for, like, a hint hotline, but where it was, like, a necessary using Nancy's connections, or, like, other people that you can get a hold of to further the mystery.
Yeah. And what I also... Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. I was going to say, I do love Frank and Hardy's style of giving you hints, though, in this game, because there's just so many puns, and it's very, like...
It's so on the nose, and I love it.
Yeah.
I just love their GPS interaction.
Yes.
A great gift for, say, a big brother to give his little brother for his upcoming birthday. Depends on what the little brother has done for the big brother. Oh my god, yeah. The Hardy Boys in this game, this is one of their best games, for sure.
Unfortunately, Joe ruins that by comparing all of Frank's ex-girlfriends to Kaitie.
I freaking love that line.
That's so great.
Freaking love it. Now, Haunted Carousel, I believe, is the peak Hardy Boys game. Like, y'all, that week is coming up. Just wait. I'm gonna, like, go nuts talking about them. But this one, I think, is probably my second favorite as far as Hardy Boys conversations. Because something else that I really miss in the newer games is how in these older games they would always like come up with a random backstory for Bess and George and the Hardy Boys. Like just some random endeavor that they have going on, like the Hardy Boys were taking care of the dude's missing dog. And so you're hearing about that. And I love that because it gives more, I don't know, what would you call like situational depth to the phone characters that you're talking to, and it gives you more to talk about. And Bess and her cooking thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
it makes it
I love
exciting to call them to get the latest update on what's going on with them.
Right, exactly. It's like you're not the only one contributing to the conversation.
It also adds to the realism, like, because then you're never gonna just call somebody and be like, "This is everything that's happening. Give me a hint." Like, you're gonna have a conversation with them,
Yeah.
and so I think again, it prevents you from getting taken out of the story.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, I got a kind of end game conversation with the Hardy Boys that I have never, ever, ever gotten before on this last playthrough. And it made me so happy. So, you know, after you come out of the sea caves, you get the auto call from Bess and George. And you talk about going to confront Kaitie or whatever. So I would always hang up with them, go to the dock, see that Kaitie was missing, and then I would try to call, like, Hardy Boys and Bess and George back. Which you can talk to Bess and George again at that point, but the Hardy Boys never said anything. But so what I did on this last playthrough was I called the Hardy Boys right after the auto call from Bess and George before I went back to the dock. And there was like a whole new thing of dialogue, and I was like, yes, I love it. It wasn't much. It wasn't very much because I think like they asked, you know, what have you found out? And Nancy starts to tell them, but then she's like, oh my god, wait, no, I don't have time. I'll call you guys later. And Joe's like, no, don't hang up. And she's like, I have to. Bye. But it was still really cool. I love getting
this time too. Yeah.
Oh, you got that one?
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. So good.
I did get this game time that I don't remember ever getting in the past. Is that like because I don't think I ever have like picked up the wrong crab and then had to like let it go. But Nancy has like 5 different lines of dialogue that she will say to the crab as she's letting it go.
What?
To pick up the wrong one. I wrote them down.
What did she say?
She says, "Be sure to write here." And then she says, "And I, all alone, left to tell the tale."
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Fight the power, little one.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
I don't know what this one is. She says, "Remember, eyes open, mouth shut." I'm like, Nancy, what?
Eyes open, mouth shut.
Yeah, and then classic, she'll be, "Ollie, bye-bye." I was picking up so many crabs and just letting them go on the beach because I was like, I want to get all of these lines down because I've never heard them before.
That is awesome. I am so obsessed. That makes the second Nick Falcone reference that she makes post final scene, and that really warms my heart. I love their begrudging friendship in that game.
Yes.
Me too.
It's like my favorite thing. I literally list that as one of the reasons why I love the final scene is the Nick and Nancy bromance.
Yes, it's so good.
Again, we'll talk about that another week.
Okay, on the crab note though, I'm still so angry. Like, I don't know, the level like of rage I feel at Holt when he gives you this list of tasks to do, and on that is to go get a crab, and then when you bring him back the wrong crab, he tells you it's wrong, that he won't give you what you need, and also kind of implies that if you do it again, he's about to send you to the cops. Infuriates me.
Yeah, like, you asked me to do this.
And now you're like, by the way, you just committed a felony. Haha. And I'm like, I will never vote for Holt. Get out of here.
And neither would Kaitie. You know what?
Yes.
That drives me crazy. Like, suddenly, because Nancy solves this mystery at the end, Kaitie's political views suddenly change and she's voting for Holt.
Right?
Like, what? That's not gonna happen.
No.
It's absolutely not gonna happen.
Another character we hear from in this game, although not on the phone, is Tana Gruen, which I love in this game.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just love the email, Daddy Drew's day off.
Like, I don't know what.
Her breaking point.
Isn't there a post about that email title?
I think I saw that, yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Well,
Oh, I just love the mental image of like them going back and forth and her trying to be nice, like smiling, and then immediately rage emailing Nancy about the situation.
yes.
Still hope someday she'll be actually a fun contact, because it's been so many games and we still haven't heard from Hannah.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
kind of crazy. We only hear from her in like the you were kicked out things, and even then, it's only occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think in this game, Nancy's talking to, or she's leaving a voicemail for Hannah. But even then, we don't hear her, do we?
No, I think it's just the
No.
voicemail.
Yeah.
We can
I
talk
think
to
a lot
her
of-
in a message in a haunted mansion. I think that's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels insulting when like you can call home and the only thing you can do is leave a message.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, why did you even have this contact if we can't do anything with it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, not to come back to this, but after doing some Googling, yeah, Russian spy whales were definitely a thing.
What?
Yeah, there's like a whole like marine animals like infantry that have happened in multiple countries. Dolphins apparently are often used in various militaries around assorted countries for or sea mine removal. Yeah, and there's like images with them like with harnesses and like grabby claws attached to be able to move things out of the way. And apparently the Russians were doing lots of other different kinds of infantry with whales in particular, with like spy gear and stuff.
Oh well.
The more you know.
Maybe Andy's got like some kind of a Russian contact.
He should be in the cathedral archives.
Yes, right? Andy Jason.
Sure, the people at the end of the game who are working with him have accents. I don't know that they're Russian accents, but they're some sort of accents.
It's up to something.
I always assumed they were Russian accents, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, give us his backstory.
I think only like one of them had an accent though.
Mm.
Oh, maybe.
I know the girl didn't, because it was actually the same voice actors who did like one of the random crew members in Stay Tuned for Danger. Like I could never shake that. And then there was the guy who was like, it was like being a kid with a key to the candy store.
Yeah. I love that he stole like what was it, just beef jerky? Like that was his
something like that.
His big heist.
Hungry.
And yes, then even how they connected the burglaries into the Shanghaiing with the tunnels and the plot being used by the burglars. Like, I can't. Ugh, I love how this game wraps everything together.
It's so layered.
Yes, I love it.
Speaking of the end of the game, I did have to. I got myself caught on purpose enough times because I was trying to get the voice line that the woman has that's your toast sister with a capital T, because that's the one that I remember as a kid getting all of a lot. The ending of this game is so suspenseful and it's really exciting.
It is.
Yeah. Just all of like the effort that they put into animating that final location, I feel like is so impressive.
Definitely.
Like I'd love to be able to do more exploring on there before you go through everything.
Yeah.
True.
The entire ending sequence of the game, from the moment you see that Kaitie's boat is missing, like from there on, it is so like you're on edge, especially the first time, or if it's not like fresh in your memory. Like it does such a good job at actually like getting you nervous. It's great. Oh, and also shout out to Andy Jason for leaving his business card when he demolished the place.
Yeah, that was a smart move, buddy.
I will say though, I think Whale World is a pretty solid little cultural center museum place. I would absolutely go.
Oh,
I agree.
100%.
And the fact that he
love
offers like the whale watching tours with it, like that's so cool. But I do have to wonder if he runs the place by himself, which we already know that he does. how in the world does he get any business? How does he keep Whale World open? Because he runs whale watching tours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then he runs one from 1 to 3, and then he runs one from like 4 to 6. And that's like 5 days a week. But so if he's spending that much time running whale watching tours, how in the world is the center open? Because he's the only one who works there.
He has volunteers.
I can't remember if it was. Yeah, right. But I can't remember if it was Kaitie or Jenna who commented that he's too cheap to hire anybody to
Oh, yeah, you're right.
run the place.
I feel like it was Kaitie, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's maybe the center is only offered as like a bonus. You know, it's the gift shop you get to go to after your whale watching tour. He's like, you got an hour before the next group heads out. Enjoy while you can.
Yes.
Then
Pretty
it's closed.
steep overhead just for a gift shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like people get excited about the games. It'd be hard to kick them out. I love the never a dull moment one. That's my favorite. I always keep coming back and playing that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think Whale World also does a very good job at integrating like the whale facts and everything. Like very educational right there. I learned a lot of what I know about whales because of Whale World.
Oh, can we talk about Hilda? Because just like going is trying to become eccentric looking to avoid everybody in her town. Like, what an icon. I can't.
She is a total icon.
Oh.
I got so attached to her when I played this game when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so attached to the point that I was, like, legit heartbroken when she said she wasn't gonna call me anymore.
I know, it hurts. You're like, I thought we made this genuine connection. And she's like, no, just briefly, one last voyeur into the Deception Island world.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's how she treats people. I mean, she treats people like they're disposable. So sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yep.
Did you guys see the post that was floating around a bit ago that was like, your fave is problematic, Hilda Swenson?
I don't think so.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it was like, it made some points. I haven't been able to look at her the same ever since.
Oh.
It was from it was from Tumblr user Hotchkiss Medallion.
Okay. Have to look for it.
It says your fave is problematic,
Points, but-
Hilda Swenson. Spies on people. Moved away and cut off all ties with old neighbors and friends because she was quote-unquote bored of them.
Yeah.
Makes Nancy go through this entire scavenger hunt to solve the mystery when she could have just done it herself because she knew everything that was going on, more or less. Takes the risk of Andy Jason getting away with his plot by making Nancy solve the mystery when she could have busted him herself. Only cares about catching the criminals because she feels personally responsible, not because what they're doing is wrong. And makes Jenna buy all her groceries for her, even though she's perfectly capable of doing it herself and is rich.
Yes.
I didn't think about that last one. Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
She's literally probably like, why is Jenna just stopping by every day with these extra food items I don't want?
There's nothing to tell her to stop, I guess.
Oh.
It's like, I mean, I'll take it, I guess.
It's like, oh, another delivery.
I don't like this type of mac and cheese.
It's time to act crazy for my time this week.
I just read the whole post to you guys here, but I did also reblog it again, so there.
The other thing that gets me about Hilda that does bother me is that I don't understand how she set up the clues, because she has to be coming back to be putting these things in place. Like,
True.
I get the message in the bottle, but like everything else, like, did you snuck back in and then went through the caves and scribbled in the coordinates real quick and then dashed back out to pick up your groceries?
I mean, is it implied that she did all of this before she moved to the other island?
That's what I was trying to figure out, because I was, on one hand, I was wondering I think part of it is, like she said, she set up something in case she would ever need to get in contact with them. But then she says that that's why she started doing the messages in the bottles, which is not the same thing as everything else. Because it's implied that she left a long time before she realized that, like, leaving her journal behind was a mistake. But I don't know. I guess also, too, like, she must be hanging out there at some point because she has to get, like, her footage and her spy cams or whatever it is that she's watching us from.
That's a really good point. Like, yeah,
Like,
she's got to be some kind of crazy pseudo stalker, right? She gets her email address. She knows exactly where everybody is at every moment. Like, what is she doing? Does she have like one of those giant retractable like telescopes on her roof?
The plot twist is she actually did lose her mind a little bit and is in denial about said process.
Right.
Oh.
Sorry for the Hilda slander. I still enjoy talking to her in the game.
Yes.
Absolutely. She's still a favorite.
Yeah.
Still do. It's such a cool interaction. Like, I don't know, just like the eccentricity of it all is just like, I don't know, it's so exciting.
It is. It's very exciting, and it's got a mysterious vibe, and I love it. I do wonder though. We get the little like electromagnetic device thing, like from the first buoy that we find from her, right? So then, what's the deal? How did the first buoy exist without anybody finding it if it was just floating there?
Right. I agree.
Or something, and like, I don't know.
What was that?
I thought it might have been like weighted or something, and then like.
Well, definitely the second one with the electromagnets.
Yeah.
Release. But the first one is just hanging out, and the game tries to imply that you can't get to anywhere in that small pond of an area because of the fog without a GPS. But like, I think that's what it's relying on. It's like just no one would have ever gone to that spot without a GPS coordinate to tell them. Like, I think that's the in game.
It's a little suspect.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
so come on.
Yeah, I agree. It's like one of the things that bothers me, like kayaking around anyway, because I'm like, come on, like I could go to any location. This is not a big area.
It's definitely not. I will say too, I remember playing this game when I was young. Like, finding the secret beach was such a huge, exciting milestone. But now when I play it, I feel like that happens so early.
That's true.
Like, earlier than I remembered it feeling like when I was younger.
Yeah.
So it kind of, it takes the wind out of my sails a little bit, but it's still cool. It's still fun, I guess. Just, in general, it's fun when the game includes areas that you have to, like, unlock later on. So. Also, I wanted to say, like, do you guys have a hard time with clamming?
Yes and no.
It depends on playthrough, I guess.
I don't have any problem at the smaller beach if I'm clamming there, because that I feel like is just full of clams all the time. But if you are continuously trying to clam on the lighthouse beach, there are no clams there for me.
I think the lighthouse only gives you like 4 or 5 in total.
Yeah, I think you're right, but sometimes I wasn't clicking exactly on the smaller beach, and so then I kept going back and forth. I just couldn't get my last 2 clams. Like, that just took me a really long time. And I don't know if it's, like, a time thing, you have to wait so much time, or if there's, like, certain locations you click to get them.
Well, if it is a timed thing, it doesn't take long. Because, yeah, generally that's what I do is I usually start at the lighthouse, and you literally just, like you said, you have to keep walking back and forth.
Yeah.
Over and over until the magnifying glass doesn't go red anymore. But so I only have to do that like once, and eventually I'll get like 4 or 5 clams or whatever from the lighthouse. And so then when you go towards the bike, Nancy will confirm that you're done by being like, I don't think there are any more clams here.
See, I had that happen to me though in both locations when I still had needed more clams. Like, she was like, oh, I don't think so. I had to leave and like come back to both of them.
So with the secret beach, when she says, I don't see any clams here, that does not include the small bit of sand that's across the rocks.
Yeah, so no,
Hmm.
I did go to there. I went there too. So I started there and then I had come back. So but it's also possible I missed like one on the secret beach and like the extension that was missing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just always found that as long as I keep combing back and forth in the same area, I can eventually get all the clams I need in one go.
Mhm.
Um, and so again, like every once in a while, like I told you, I always finish the lighthouse first so that I know I don't have to travel back and forth between the lighthouse and the beach.
Mhm.
So normally when I'm combing the beach, Nancy will drop the line about I don't see any more clams here, but you already know that there are no more at the lighthouse that you
Mhm.
need. So at that point, I just hop across to the small bit of sand, and I'm all
Mhm.
good.
I will say I love clamming on the like the secret beach because I feel like it's so relaxing because
It
you find them.
is.
It's not super hard, like it's not Big Island Mike seashelling when you can't find
Ugh.
Yes.
You
shells.
can't get any white shells.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's still like repetitive enough, and like I feel like I'm kind of looking around. It's really nice.
Yeah, I agree. It is pretty nice.
And I love Nancy's little like voice lines checking in with where you are and how many clams you have.
Hmm.
Let's not talk about the Wicked Witch one. Let's please just not.
What was that? Like oh.
She's
Like,
such a dork.
she is. She's the biggest dork ever. And it's like, normally I'm cool with it, but that was just one of the ones that I have to draw the line. That one, and I draw the line at her line in Alibi and Ashes, where she, in the beginning on the jail cell phone, and it's not gonna happen, see, or whatever.
Oh yes.
I draw the line at that one. And then there's one in Shattered Medallion as well that I draw the line at. It's like something to do with prospecting for gold. I can't remember the line though.
I
Oh
have to
god, I
look
can't.
for it.
Oh, there's gold and then there are hills.
Oh yes.
So that's like the unholy trinity.
Yes.
Those are the three like Nancy
Listen.
Drew cheesy jokes that just make me cringe and get so much secondhand embarrassment. Like I literally want to melt.
This
Listen,
is why I
Nancy
love
doesn't
Nancy.
care.
Yes. Nancy
She's
is the world's biggest dork with mom jeans and horse shirts.
She
Yeah.
is.
I was gonna
And
say,
yet
yeah,
she's smooth as hell.
she's standing out there, rocking that shirt that everyone still's making fun of her for all these years later. Being herself.
In this game, like in her suitcase, she has a shirt that has a hacky sack on it that says Hackmeister on it.
Oh yes. We don't
love
talk
that.
about that enough.
Yeah, like, do you think Nancy knows how to like play with hacky sack, or did you just think it was a funny like shirt?
I think she probably bought a hacky sack after buying the shirt.
Oh, okay.
Right.
To make
I
the pun
remember.
work better.
I'm sure that was like a little inside reference because I don't know if you guys remember, but the Her Interactive team always played hacky sack.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah, I remember they posted like some videos on their YouTube channel after they like started getting really involved in like the social media community, and they were uploading like a lot of YouTube videos. What was that?
Mm-hmm. No, I was just saying I vaguely remember that actually. Now that you said that, I remember there being like an email talking about their hacky sack video.
Yeah, they did like a whole video just about how much they enjoy playing hacky sack. Oh man, old Her Interactive team, this one goes out to you. We love you all and we miss you.
Speaking of Lanny's like weird voice lines, does she voice the toy box in this game, the matching game?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because it sounds kind of like her.
Oh, I think it probably is. Match pairs across all three screens. I didn't realize how much more extra that mini game was on Master.
What's the difference?
Right, so I played on Junior this time because I played it recently on Master. But so on Master Detective, it is literally the pairs are spread across all three screens.
Yeah.
So like
I don't think I'd played it on Master before, and so when I also, again, I'm not a memory game person. Like, it just have a horrible short term memory. And
Same.
so I'm trying to do that first screen, and I'm going through them, and I'm like, none of these match. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've clicked on every single one, and I can't find a frying pan anywhere on the page. I thought I was losing my mind a little bit, and then I finally like had the sense to try to do it on a different page, and I was like, oh, that's why they said that in the beginning.
Yeah, because on Junior they are contained within the individual screens, but
Yeah, I think I usually play this game on Junior Detective.
Always play on Master Detective. It's like I like to. I like to have the challenge.
I know. I honestly go back and forth because I was actually doing my own playthrough before this official Clue Crew one started. And so I was making it kind of my mission on that one to play through all of the games on Master. Because I generally played all of them at some point on Master, but on a regular basis, I tended to pick Junior just because it was easier and quicker. And I had a task list. I need like an in-between. I need like a middle ground detective option where you have the harder puzzles of Master, but you also get the task list.
Yeah.
I do like having a list.
Me too. That's why I always go here.
Yeah, but that's also why that's one of the things that I appreciate about the newer games like Tomb and Up is because you still have a task list for Master. It's just a lot more, bare. But at least you have some kind of direction.
Yeah.
What I always struggle with in this game is the one with like the sort of scavenger hunt for the coordinates.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
Like, the buoys. I can never get the one with the flashing lights right because I think there's two that have the lights in the harbor, and apparently like one of them isn't flashing at regular intervals, but they both look like they are to me.
Oh. That's funny. Yeah, I would say that scavenger hunt from Hilda is probably like the biggest annoyance for me in Deception Island. I'm just like, ugh, come on. I used a spoiler for the coordinates on this playthrough because I just didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Like there's some buoys that you can't even get close to or look at, and you're trying to think like, am I supposed to count those? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. There's some funky angles when you're kayaking too.
Yeah.
It's not the best mechanism with kayaking.
No.
I do like how it looks and like the water sounds though.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I love that like kayaking's in there. I love kayaking, and it's fun, and the caves are cool.
Yes, I love the sea caves.
Me too.
I wish you could explore them a little more. Like, I wish maybe there was more to the sea caves.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice that you do at least, get to find the hidden cave or whatever later on. But I just think it would have been fun if it had a larger area anyway, and maybe some more colors. Just something a little more breathtaking.
Yeah, I think I would have rather had that than all of the tunnel stuff. Even though the tunnels are cool, but I think it's not as like cool and colorful. Where I think the sea caves have more of a potential for just kind of that like beautiful, like oceany vibe.
Yeah, for sure. And the sea caves is also a lot more specific to this game too, because I mean, you can plop a hidden tunnel anywhere.
Something kind of like what they did with the tidal pool, where you can click and look closer at some of the stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I love like clicking that fish enough times to get the little lumpy.
I know. I really love that, but I never do it because I just don't have the patience to sit there and click that many times.
I was trying to count how many it was, and it was something like 27.
Oof.
Yeah, like it's really fun. I have definitely done it more than once in the past, but I just usually don't. But that's another thing. I love how the game also incorporated the maritime chart at the hot kettle a couple of different times. It just makes it feel cohesive.
Yeah.
Just so much good to this game. As with pretty much any game in the series, there are, of course, still things that could be better. But I love it for how grounded and realistic it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it really feels like they paid a lot of attention to the details of the plot that they had planned. And just so well executed.
I do love that, like, this is one of the only games where like another character eavesdrops or like listens to a conversation that you're having with another character.
Yeah.
When Jenna overhears your conversation with Holt.
It is really cool.
Because in most games, every conversation is in like a vacuum. Like even if the character's right next, like they don't hear what you're talking about.
Right. So yeah, even that part is realistic. It's very cool.
Yeah, in general, I felt like a lot of the details about these characters were very realistic. Like, it was very clear they had other agendas and other things going on, and that Nancy was kind of like a minor thing in their lives, which was really cool and unique. That, like, I think a lot of the times all the characters like, whoa, like, who are you? And really want to interact with you, but it was really up to you to kind of force those relationships, and I really liked that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they did a great job at capturing that small town vibe with the game, despite the fact that you only interact with 4 people. And I think it's interesting because the 4 people that you interact with probably, I would say, aren't even like super likable. Like they're not terrible, but you know, there's definitely a lot more memorable characters than any of the characters in this game. I don't know, something about the cast, like you said, Maddie, it just works and it makes sense.
I think almost even the fact that they're not super interesting or likable is it like makes them more grounded.
Right.
They seem like actual people that you would encounter who would be willing to talk to you, right? Like 2 shop owners and someone who's running for an elected position, so who needs to keep putting up a front and like would be friendly. So it makes sense that you would have those interactions with them, and then like they're not the most exciting, but those are the kind of conversations you could have.
That's true. You do probably meet more people in real life who aren't super characterized and interesting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the other thing that I love in this game is how they actually like address these small town politics, and it just, I think that's another thing that adds to the realism and the believability of the entire world that they've created in Snake Horse Arbor.
It's cool that like everyone has an opinion on the whale.
Yeah. Like there's just this recent event that's been going on in town, and you learn about it from the different viewpoints. You talk to different people about how they feel, and you get to see how the views are contrasting and how that assists in forming their opinions of each other.
And it comes up very organically, like because the town hall meeting was the night before, it makes sense that they would be having conversations about that situation.
Yeah,
like it doesn't feel thrown in there.
Yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, our town meeting from 3 weeks ago, you know, we addressed this and we did not like it. It was like, this literally happened the night before, so of course it's still fresh in everybody's minds. It's, like you said, it makes sense that they're still going to be actively thinking about it and wanting to have conversations on it.
And like kind of throwing shade at Nancy through, or not at Nancy, but at Kaitie through Nancy.
Yeah, I know.
It's a very like small town passive aggressive stuff.
It is. I'm staying with Kaitie Firestone. My condolences.
Yeah. Like you can clearly tell that like Holt and Jenna were just both like gossiping about Kaitie right when Nancy walks in.
You're right. You're so right.
And like I think that's what adds to like why it feels natural for them to be willing to talk to her, because they're like, oh yeah, listen, you don't really know her that well, and like let's get you over to our side.
Right. You're right. It does feel completely organic, and it gives the player or Nancy a good reason to find out more about how the characters view each other, because that's always one of your side goals when you're solving a mystery is, you know, you need to gather as much information as you can. So not only do you need to find out, you know, about the individuals, but it's also good to know how they feel and interact with each other. But so having this whole political matter on everybody's minds is a really great and natural way for Nancy to find all of that information out from everybody.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was just going to say. And so, like, in doing those conversations, you have like you actually build these relationships with these characters, and so then it makes sense that you're able to ask them these like more personal questions or ask them for favors later on. Like it doesn't feel random.
I agree. One of my favorite parts of this game. But clearly I have a lot. This is a very good game.
I always like feel like Jenna and Kaitie have some sort of history that goes back a lot further than like what we see in this game.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I like I like to imagine that they were at some point like college roommates.
I can see that.
I can just picture it. And
I can see that.
And then like Jenna had to take over the cafe for her aunt and wasn't able to like, I don't know, because she seems to know a lot about like whales and marine biology, and like it's kind of bitter that Kaitie gets to do all this stuff.
You're
Yeah,
right.
I can definitely see that.
Maybe they both went into study for like marine biology and stuff, but they went in different directions with it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, that's something that I never gave any thought to, but I definitely could see that as being plausible.
I do get very like rival vibes from them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And to a certain extent, I almost kind of get an sort of like an X vibe from them, like they might have dated at some point.
Mhm. Yeah, same here.
hmm
Oh man. That would kind of fit organically with the plot line of like, oh, they were college roommates and they were studying the same thing, so they had stuff in common. So they started
Yeah.
dating, but then they like moved in opposite directions with their views and how they wanted to pursue the topic of marine biology, and so they like had this really bad blowout and now they hate each other.
Yeah, it's just like the way it's all centered, like you were saying, I think it definitely there's clear history that's long like past, like, and it's also very apparent that it seems to me, I would agree with you, Anna, that there was like one moment that like caused it to blow up, and like they've not resolved it since. So I could definitely see like a relationship situation happening.
Right.
Something else I noticed on this playthrough is that the calendar in the lighthouse has like a drum set on it.
Oh, does
So I
it?
kept, yeah, and so I kept imagining or trying to imagine Andy in like a band, or like trying to learn the drums on his own.
That's hilarious. And amazing.
I never really paid attention to like what was the picture on the calendar, but it's like a fancy drum set.
Nice, nice. I could see that, or one of his lackeys.
Yeah,
Or like the one who talked about being like a kid in the candy store. Maybe he's like the drummer for like
yeah.
a really terrible garage band from when he was a teenager and he still hasn't let go. And now he's
Trying
a
to get
criminal.
others recruited in the criminal enterprise, but it's hard
Yes.
to manage both.
Fantastic. All right. Anything else, anybody?
Good game.
Indeed.
I'm refraining from yelling "Whales rule."
I know. I was already thinking about using that as our sign off tonight.
We should all collectively.
Whales rule.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else to talk about, I think I'm good. I feel like I've said my piece about how much I love this game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and thank
All right.
you so much for having me on the podcast.
Of
Of
course.
course. You brought some really interesting things to the table tonight, so that was a lot of fun.
It was fun to replay the game and like notice new things like with a closer eye.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about this series is that you can always replay it and find new things. So yeah, awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You enjoyed spending your time with us tonight, Anna. We're glad that you did.
Yes, thank you.
Really appreciated getting to know you a little bit. So, with that said, you guys, I guess we will wrap up here. So, did anybody want to give any final thoughts on the game, or are we good?
I think we've covered it.
Yeah.
I feel like I already gave my final thoughts on this game. It's one of my faves. I love it. Realistic, believable, small town. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So good night, you guys. And thank you once again, Anna, for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Once again, her blog is not a Nancy Drew side blog, but if you want to go check her out, so give her some love. Her username is Greenhouse Ghost. She will be linked in the description below. And have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody, and remember,
Whales
rule.
I jumped the gun way too quickly.
We needed like a countdown.
Yeah.
Too excited.
Do you guys want to do a countdown version, or do you just want to hang out?
Yes. No.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Whales.
Whales rule.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.